Right, get reaction now from the Premier spokesperson, Zuko Godlimpi. Good to have you, Zuko, and thank you very much for your time. An interim interdict in itself is a short-term relief while you await, of course, the review of the final matter in Part B. So at this stage, one would say it is not conclusive in terms of what are the rights of the various folks that are involved in this particular matter. However, the courts did say that the SIU must have been a little bit overzealous in bringing in the matter of the master's degree into their investigation. What's your reaction?
Thank you for having us. That's essentially the position that the Honorable Premier sought to canvass in court, and the court, of course, was in agreement to the extent that there was the SIU moving beyond the scope of what the proclamation had granted them as the scope of their work. That's the first part on Part A. And as you had said, Part B is about a substantive discussion about whether the proclamation itself was proclaimed in a manner that is consistent with the powers of the authority that proclaimed in order to investigate such matters. So for now, the Premier is relieved that he got the relief that he sought on Part A and is looking forward to the determination on Part B.
So I hear the Premier saying that, of course, he had to jump into the fray here because he believes there is abuse of power by the Vice-Chancellor at the University at the Hare University. Why is the Premier saying so?
Okay, that's something that is still going to be ventilated, in court, why the Premier believes so, and that has to do with the fact that, in part, the entire action of the SIU is based on what is called a forensic report, which was leaked into the media long before it even got to the SIU. So that gives a sense that just as there is a legal process underway, but there's also an attempt to put the Premier on trial in the public gallery. And that, as far as the Premier is concerned, is an act of unfairness and is driven by malicious intent.
So does the Premier believe there is maladministration at the university, as per the forensic report?
That's not for the Premier to comment on. Those are matters that the important of the supposed forensic investigation when it impugns on him acts of wrongdoing.
Okay.
But
so
the university is free to pursue investigations to its own affairs and arrive at determinations that have to do with it, as long as that does not include Mr. Mabuyane as a private citizen.
Right. So is the Premier of the view that he should be immunized from investigation? They can investigate everything else except for him?
No. The Premier has never even made that point. We've seen these things running around in many news outlets, but the Premier has never said he's immune to investigation. But in South Africa, the process of investigation itself must be constitutional, must be legal, and must be rational. Yes. People don't wake up in the morning and just say, okay, Mzuli, you are under investigation, even if that is outside the bounds of constitutionality, legality, and rationality.
Right. I'm sure you've read the judgment. I don't tell you. The courts did say that the president has got the right to amend that particular proclamation, as the president says. But not only that, the SIU says they also can go back to the president and request that it be amended to include the areas that the Premier said were not included in the first proclamation. Are you worried or concerned at all about that?
Those are matters that will have to be dealt with. So aspects of what you're talking about will have to be dealt with when the court is hearing the Part B element of the application. But those are, of course, are matters of perspective that were in dispute, and the court had to hear that. If the SIU wants the president to amend the proclamation, they can do that. If the president so wishes to change a proclamation, the president can do that. But the questions that are related to Part B will also be dealing with whether the very proclamation itself on this particular subject matter was valid or not. And we can't make a position on it now. That's a position we're taking to court, and that's the issue that the court must then arbitrate on.
The ANC in the province has also issued a statement. They are believing that the investigation is a witch hunt, in a sense, to tarnish the image of discredit, let me use the right word. It is an unreasonable and unfair ploy to discredit Premier Oscar Mabuyane. Who would want to discredit the Premier in the province or in the nation, I suppose, at large?
I am not at liberty to indulge the position of the ANC in the province. I only speak as the spokesperson of the Premier in government. Only to the extent, I can comment on to the extent that the Premier made it in court that he believes that the act itself is unfair. It is ill-motivated. Of course, the judge disagreed with the issue of malicious intent, but said it could be overzealousness. That is the extent to which I can comment. But I'm sure the spokesperson of the ANC can elaborate on the position of the ANC on the matter.
Does the Premier align himself, though, with that position that the investigation was a ploy to discredit him?
As I say, the Premier expressed in court and in court papers that he believes that there was malicious intent behind the investigation. And that is an area that the judge disagreed with, but said he can only concede that it could have been overzealous. So the position of the Premier officially is that it was malicious. And that is to the extent to which we can comment on the matter.
No, fully understand that in terms of court papers, but the Premier is also the chairperson of the ANC in the province. Does he align himself with the statement of his party?
As I say, I can't speak on behalf of the ANC. I have no sight of the statement in question because I don't work for the ANC comms. I work for government communications.
The failure of leadership to take responsibility about weakness of internal systems at Fort Hare University has also come into focus. Does the Premier have a view about that?
Here is the understanding that must be conversed. The Higher Education Act proclaims that universities are autonomous institutions whose administration must be free from external intervention. So the Premier has no authority over the University of Fort Hare, has no authority over its administrative affairs, has no authority over its operational affairs. So it would not be for the Premier to have that comment, but that question can be directed at the Minister of Higher Education, who by law is the one who has the executive authority to look into matters of administrative efficacy in universities.
Zuko, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on and
Thank you,
speaking
sir.
on behalf of the Premier there of the Eastern Cape, Oscar Mabuyane.